This conference will now be recorded.
First, we try to define the pharynx. Do you know what is the pharynx? This is musculo-membranous tube. That is the pharynx. This is musculo-membranous tube. So this one is the pharynx. First, I show you picture. In that picture, we try to see the extent, relations, and shape of the pharynx that we can see in that picture. So we can see this picture. Can you see this picture? Can you see? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in this picture, we can see the posterior view of the pharynx. So here I try to show you extent of the pharynx with the first red arrow, that is the one. And this is the second red arrow. This is that. So this one is the extent of the pharynx from base of skull to lower border of C6 vertebra. This is the extent from base of skull to lower border of C6 vertebra. Anyhow, in another sagittal section picture, I'm going to show you exact lower border of the C6 vertebra. This is the extent. Already I told you, so pharynx is made up of muscles and membranes. That's why this one is called musculo-membranous tube. And another point, you see at the second arrow, okay, at the lower part, this is continuing with the esophagus that I am showing with the blue arrow. That one is called pharyngo-esophageal junction. That junction is called. And now we come to the relations of the, okay. So in front, pharynx communicates with the nasal cavity, oral cavity, and the larynx. So anteriorly, communications. Posteriorly, it is supported by vertebrae, and either side related to, here you see, you can this picture. This is the three, with blue arrow I'm showing the three. These are the styloid apparatus. And here, one picture is missing. That roughly I'm showing the picture. This is the number 4, carotid sheath. And this is the number 5, lobes of thyroid gland. So here 3, 4, 5. So these are the lateral relations of the pharynx. Is it clear? So that's enough. So I try to show you another picture. That one is the sagittal section of the pharynx. This one. Can you see this picture? Yes or no? This, we name it picture B. Then picture B and no. This one is the picture A. Two pictures together. In picture B, we can see anterior and posterior relations of the pharynx. Already I told you, pharynx anteriorly communicates with the three structures. With red arrow I am showing number 1, that is the nasal cavity. Number 2, oral cavity, and number 3, larynx. So pharynx anteriorly communicates with the 1, 2, 3 nasal cavity, oral cavity, larynx. In the same picture, you see posterior relations of the pharynx. So posteriorly, it is related to, okay, SB, that means sphenoid bone, body of sphenoid bone. This is the C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, and up to lower border of C6 with the arrow I am showing. So posteriorly, it is supported and related to upper 6 cervical vertebrae, between them intervertebral disc and body of sphenoid bone. These are the relations of pharynx. Again, I'm clarifying the relations of pharynx. In picture B, we can see anteriorly communicates with the 3 parts from above downwards in order. Number 1, in this picture we can see number 1, nasal cavity, number 2, oral cavity, number 3, larynx. And posteriorly, it is supported and also related to upper 6 cervical vertebrae and intervertebral disc and lower part of body of sphenoid bone. So anterior posterior relations. In picture A, we can see the lateral relations of pharynx. So here we can see with the blue arrows, I'm showing 3, 4, 5. You see those numbers. If you see the 3 styloid apparatus, 4 carotid sheath, and 5 lateral lobe of thyroid gland. So this is about the extent and the relations of pharynx. Now we can write down extent and the relations of pharynx. So what is the extent of pharynx? Already I told you, from where to where? From base of skull. From base of skull to lower border of C6 vertebra. Otherwise, lower border of cricoid cartilage. Your wish. So lower border of C6 vertebra. This is the extent. Now we see the relations. So anteriorly, already I told you, anteriorly communicates with the 3 parts. What are the 3 parts? Nasal, nose, oral cavity, and larynx. So anteriorly communicates with the 3 parts. And posteriorly and related to C1 to C6 vertebrae and intervertebral disc plus sphenoid bone, body of sphenoid bone posteriorly. And finally, on each side, so on each side related to styloid apparatus and second one carotid sheath in the middle. I have shown you in the picture. Number 3, thyroid gland, lateral lobes. So this is about the definition, extent, and the relations of pharynx. And straight away, now we go to the today class, and today class is interior of the pharynx. Now for this, I will open another page, new worksheet. So in this worksheet, now I'm going to explain you interior of the pharynx. So for this, I try to show you previous picture only. That is the better picture. to learn the interior of the pharynx. So in this sagittal section, in this picture, we can see the interior of the pharynx. If you see this interior of the pharynx, if you see this interior of the pharynx, so divided into three parts. Divided into three parts. Here, number one, nasopharynx. You see the picture. Number two, oropharynx, and number three, laryngopharynx. So in the interior, nasopharynx, oropharynx, laryngopharynx. We can see the three parts based on the relations with anterior communications. For example, you see the nasopharynx, yellow color, it communicates with the nasal cavity. So nasopharynx. Then you see the second one, green color, oropharynx, communicates with the oral cavity. So this is named as oropharynx. Similarly, blue color one, that is present behind the larynx. So this one is called laryngopharynx. So we can see the three parts in the interior. But I tried to show you exact boundaries, means exact extent of these three parts. If you see these three, if you see these three, so whatever I'm highlighting here, violet color, okay, that one is the soft palate. You can see the soft palate, first one, and the second one is the epiglottis. First one is the soft palate, second one is the epiglottis. So with the violet arrow, I'm showing number 4. With violet arrow, I'm showing the number 4. That one is the lower border of the soft palate. So lower border of soft palate. That's the number 1 point. And here I'm trying to show you another violet color arrow. That is the number 5. That one is called upper border of epiglottis. Here I told you 2 points, 4, 5. These two, okay, separate the, not separate, based on these two, we can locate the boundaries of the three pharynx, interior of the three parts of the pharynx. For example, nasopharynx extends up to lower border of soft palate. That is the nasopharynx. Oropharynx extends up to upper border of epiglottis. Okay, based on like that. For example, oropharynx present between upper border of soft palate and upper border of epiglottis. Above the lower border of soft palate, that part is called nasopharynx from the sphenoid bone. Similarly, below the upper border of epiglottis, you see the number 5 up to the lower border of C6 vertebra. That part, blue one, is called laryngopharynx. So number 4 and 5, based on these two, we can divide the three parts of the interior of pharynx: nasopharynx, oropharynx, laryngopharynx. That's the one point. Then another point I'm highlighting here, that one, okay, I use yellow color. Instead of yellow, I use better blue color, not blue. I use black color only. That is not visible. So I'm going to use another one. Blue color only, you see. Here I'm showing the another part, number 6. Similarly, here one part is there, number 7. And here another circle I'm showing, number 8. So in this picture, you see blue arrows, 6, 7, 8. Number 6 one is called coine. Number 6 is called coine. And number 7 is called oropharyngeal isthmus. Number 7, oropharyngeal isthmus. Number 8, inlet of larynx. So once again, I'm repeating with blue arrows. I'm showing 6, 7, 8. 6 is called choanae, and 7 oropharyngeal isthmus, and number 8 inlet of larynx. What I'm telling that nasopharynx communicates with the nasal cavity through number 6 choanae. Like that, oropharynx, you see green color. Oropharynx communicates with the oral cavity through number 7 oropharyngeal isthmus. And finally, laryngopharynx communicates with the larynx through number 8 inlet of larynx. So these are the boundaries between the interior of pharynx, nose, oral cavity, and larynx. What I'm telling this thing. So this same thing, whatever I explained in the this picture, same I try to show you in the flow chart. For example, same thing I repeat here once again for better clarification. So first one is the nasopharynx. First one is the nasopharynx, and second one oropharynx, and third one, okay, laryngopharynx. So these are the three parts of the interior of pharynx. So nasopharynx communicates with the nose and the nasal cavity anamata. Oropharynx communicates with the mouth, oral cavity. Laryngopharynx communicates with the larynx. This thing you know. What I'm telling that here, nasopharynx continues as oropharynx at the level of lower border of, okay, lower border of palate. Which palate? Soft palate. Oropharynx communicates with the laryngopharynx at the upper border of epiglottis. So this one you know. So nasopharynx communicates with the oropharynx. Oropharynx communicates with the laryngopharynx at 2 points: soft palate and epiglottis. And here we can see anterior communications of these 3 parts. So for example, nasopharynx anteriorly communicates with the nose through choanae. This thing I have shown you in the picture. So what are the boundaries of choanae? We learn later. Like that, oropharynx anteriorly communicates with the oral cavity through oropharyngeal isthmus. Next to number 3, laryngopharynx communicates with the larynx through laryngeal inlet. Okay, so so this is about the interior of pharynx and their communications briefly. First I explained in the picture. I have shown you everything in the picture, and here also we can see the flow chart. Now what are we are going to learn now? We are going to study each part of the interior one by one. There are 3 parts, so we are going to study one by one. I'm repeating again. Usually nasopharynx. So this question is asked in university exams number of times, 5 marks question, very very important. Within the oropharynx, we are going to see palatine tonsil, important question. In the laryngopharynx, pyriform fossa and laryngeal inlet. These two are very, very important in exam point of view. So what I am telling that all parts of the interior of pharynx in exam point of view and also in clinical side, very, very important. So we are going to study one by one. We are going to study the boundaries, what are the features in those parts, అవన్నీ కూడా మనం డీటెయిల్ గా చూడబోతున్నాం. So first I'm going to explain you about the I'm going to explain about the nasopharynx. That is the first one. So we can put heading. First one is the nasopharynx. Okay. So first I try to show you boundaries and features of the nasopharynx. Then after that we write the notes. What I am showing here, this is the best picture with better visibility. Manchiga visibility undi, and also you can identify the parts anamata. So this one is the whatever you see here, interior of pharynx. Kodiga chudandi, I try to show you some parts here. These are required for the studying of various parts of the interior of pharynx. The SB with black color, I'm trying to labeling. That is the body of sphenoid bone. And C1, C2, C3, C4, and C5. Up to C5 cervical vertebrae we can see here in this picture. You see, and anteriorly we can see the nasal cavity, oral cavity, and laryngeal inlet. So first what I do, I try to highlight the margins of nasopharynx. Okay, with the red color, I use green color, that's better. So with green color I try to highlight the margins of nasopharynx. You can see in this picture with the green color I'm highlighting the margins of nasopharynx, that we can see. So if you see this nasopharynx, what are the boundaries we can look at here? Ante this one A and anterior, okay, and this one B anaga base anamata. With another arrow I'm showing, that is the B, base or floor, whatever, lower manedan ankochu. Then this one R and roof, and this one P anaga posterior wall. So here you see with blue arrows I'm showing the walls of the nasopharynx. Walls of the nasopharynx. A anterior, P posterior wall, then R ante roof or above, B ante base or below. ఇవి చూసాం. అంటే we can imagine the nasopharynx is like a cube. ఒక క్యూబ్ ఎలా ఉంటుందో అలాగే ఇమాజిన్ చేసుకోండి. సో వాట్ ఆర్ ద వాల్స్ మిస్సింగ్ హియర్? ఇక్కడ మనం మిస్ చేసిన ఏంటి? ఇక్కడ చూపిస్తున్నాం చూడండి, L అని. దిస్ ఇస్ ద వన్ లేటరల్ వాల్, బికాస్ దిస్ ద sagittal సెక్షన్ ఆఫ్ ది pharynx కాబట్టి ఒక సెక్షన్ లో ఒక వాల్ ఉంటుంది, లేటరల్ వాల్. సో వాట్ ఎవర్ L, బిగ్ వన్, ఐఎమ్ షోయింగ్ యూ, దట్ ఈస్ ద lateral wall of the nasopharynx. So these are the walls of the nasopharynx. Now we try to learn how these walls are formed and చూస్తే, and this picture is showing the all the features and all the boundaries మొత్తం అన్ని చూపించేస్తుంది. For example, you take the A అంటే anterior wall usually communicates with the communicates with the nasal cavity through choanae. Previously I told you. So that is the anterior wall choanae communication. And next we come to the posterior wall. If you see this picture, roof and posterior wall, R and P, rendu chodandi. Roof and posterior wall both are continuing together to form the sloping surface. అంటే రెండు కలిపి ఒక sloping surface లా ఫామ్ అయింది అన్నమాట. కాబట్టి రెండు కలిపే చదువుతాం. Roof and posterior wall formed by body of sphenoid bone and C1 అనగా anterior arch of atlas. ఆ రెండు కలిపి మెయిన్ గా posterior wall roof ని ఫామ్ చేసింది. And base or below, it communicates with the oropharynx through pharyngeal isthmus. Anyhow, posterior surface of soft palate. ఈ పిక్చర్ లో చూపిస్తాను వాట్ ఇస్ ద సాఫ్ట్ ప్యాలెట్ అని. SP అని రాస్తున్నాను చూడండి అది. సో below, okay, below it is related to posterior surface of soft palate and communicates with the oropharynx. Communicates with the oropharynx. ఇక్కడ ఒక సర్కిల్ లాగా ఉంటుంది విత్ బ్లాక్ కలర్ ఐఎమ్ షోయింగ్. దాన్ని ఓరో, this one is called pharyngeal isthmus. I explain it later. Right now we remember like that. So this is the below. So anterior communication, base or below communication. ఇంకా మనం మిగిలింది roof and posterior wall formed by bones, sphenoid bone and C1 vertebra. And lateral wall is covered by mucous membrane. Lateral wall is covered by mucous membrane. So these are the boundaries of the nasopharynx. Same thing we try to write in the notes. First we have seen the nasopharynx. Okay, anterior wall, posterior wall, and the roof. Finally below or floor. Anterior wall communicates with the nasal cavity through choanae. So what is choanae? You see in the dissection, we explain you. And roof and posterior wall forming the sloping surface. Both are formed by body of sphenoid bone plus anterior arch of atlas, C1 vertebra. Anterior arch of atlas, C1 vertebra. And below, okay, communicates with oropharynx through pharyngeal isthmus. Previously I told you oropharyngeal isthmus. అది వేరు ఇది వేరు. Don't confuse. ఇక్కడ మనం రెండు చూసాం. One is the oropharyngeal isthmus, oral cavity కి oropharynx కి మధ్య కమ్యూనికేషన్. nasopharynx కి oropharynx కి మధ్య ఉన్న కమ్యూనికేషన్ ని pharyngeal isthmus అంటారు. ఆ రెండు కూడా తేడా. ఆ రెండు ఒకసారి మీరు చూసుకోవాలి. Is it clear? So anterior wall, posterior wall. So lateral wall is formed by mucous membrane. So this is about the nasopharynx boundaries. Now we learn what are the presenting features of nasopharynx. So we try to see the presenting features of nasopharynx. I use same picture only, దీన్నే వాడతాను చూడండి. So first we see the features at the roof of the nasopharynx. చూస్తే మీ బుక్స్ లో చాలా లిస్ట్ ఇస్తారు, బట్ నేను ఒకే ఒకటి చెప్తాను, అదర్ డీటెయిల్స్కి వెళ్ళను. And this one is called nasopharyngeal tonsil or pharyngeal tonsil. So whatever I'm showing with the yellow arrow, this one is called nasopharyngeal tonsil or pharyngeal tonsil. Tonsil means is formed by aggregation of lymphoid tissue. formed by aggregation of lymphoid tissue below the mucous membrane of pharynx. That one is called nasopharyngeal tonsil or pharyngeal tonsil. Adokade cheptunanu. Another 2 points are also there. Pharyngeal recess, other things are there. You'll see later. That only enough. At the roof, this feature we have seen the at the roof, number 1. And number 2, we come to the features at the lateral wall. It is important. We come to the features at the lateral wall. So with the circle I'm showing, yellow black color circle I'm showing. Otherwise, for color contrast, I use another one. So yellow one. So with the yellow circle I'm showing the one part here. That one is called tubal opening. I will write in the notes. So see here, I write only abbreviations here. Extend, I will extend in the notes. Okay. With the yellow color circle, whatever I'm showing here, that one is called tubal opening. So above the tubal opening, whatever you see mucus elevation, I'm showing with the blue color dots. Above the tubal elevation, I'm showing the mucus elevation. That one is called tubal elevation. First one is tubal tonsil. That's number 2. Tubal elevation. Number 3, tubal elevation. On the tubal elevation, we can find the lymphoid tissue. That one is called tubal tonsil. రూపులో చెప్పింది ఏంటి, నేను నాసోఫెరింజియల్ టాన్సిల్ అన్నాను. ఇక్కడ చెప్తుంది ఏంటి, ట్యూబల్ టాన్సిల్ ఆన్ ద ట్యూబల్ ఎలివేషన్, అగ్రిగేషన్ ఆఫ్ lymphoid tissue. That's the clear. And next, one more thing with green arrow I will show. From the tubal opening, there are 2 folds are extending. Number 1 and number 2. With green arrow, I'm showing number 1 and number 2. 2 openings, two mucosal elevations are extending. These are called very, very important. Salpingopharyngeal fold. Next one, salpingoglossal fold. So one name salpingoglossal fold, another one is the salpingopharyngeal fold. Ivi notes lo meeku extend chestanu abbreviations. Right now you just listen. That's enough. వీటిని number 4, 5 కింద చెప్పొచ్చు. సో పిక్చర్ లో నీకు లేబులింగ్ చేయింది ఏంటంటే నెంబర్ 6 tubal tonsil అదొకటి. సో వాట్ ఐఎమ్ టెలింగ్ దట్ హియర్ ఐఎమ్ ట్రైంగ్ టు టెల్ యూ features on the lateral wall and the roof of the nasopharynx. On the nasopharynx, whatever you see, that elevation is called, for example, pharyngeal tonsil, number 1. We come to the lateral wall of nasal cavity. On lateral wall of nasal cavity, we can observe here. On lateral wall of nasal cavity, we can observe here one opening, one elevation, one tonsil, and 2 folds. ఇవన్నీ కూడా ట్యూబలే. సో ట్యూబల్ ఓపెనింగ్, ట్యూబల్ ఎలివేషన్, ఆన్ ద ట్యూబల్ ఎలివేషన్ ట్యూబల్ టాన్సిల్. ఫ్రమ్ ద ట్యూబల్ elevation, 2 folds are extending, one to the short palate, okay, another to the pharynx. So previously I told you glosso, not glosso. So first one is called salpingopharyngeal fold, and another one is called salpingopalatine fold. Previously I told you glosso, not glosso, palatine. So that thing we can see here. So this is about the features of nasopharynx. Again, I tried to write the features of nasopharynx in the notes. So at the roof and the posterior wall, what we have seen at the roof and posterior wall, I told you one tonsil. Name that tonsil. Any one of you? Name the tonsil at the roof. Any one of you? Very good. Nasopharyngeal tonsil. Alage, along the lateral wall, we have seen these so many features. నెంబర్ 1 ఏంటి? ట్యూబల్ ఓపెనింగ్. నెంబర్ 2 ట్యూబల్ ఎలివేషన్. నెంబర్ 3 ట్యూబల్ tonsil. Number 4 folds. Name the folds extending from the tubal elevation. Any one of you? Name the folds extending from the tubal elevation, tubal elevation. Salpingo, 2 are there. Name them. Try to name. Salpingo palatine. Salpingo pharyngeal. Okay, na? Is it clear? Yes or no? వింటున్నారా?
Yes, sir.
This is about the nasopharynx. Whatever I told you here, nasopharynx. University exams, 5 marks question. What I told here. So in the flow chart, you can see the communications of nasopharynx. Below the flow chart, I have written boundaries of the nasopharynx, and with green color, I have written features of the nasopharynx on various walls. Main roof low, lateral wall low. So this is the nasopharynx. Now shall we move to the remaining 2 parts, over and laryngopharynx? These are simple, chala quick ga అయిపోతాయి. Okay. What is the second one? In the interior, what is the second part? Oropharynx. So second one, oropharynx. So we use same picture. అదే పిక్చర్ ఇచ్చేసి చదువుదాం. ఇది చాలా క్విక్ గా అయిపోద్ది. ఇక్కడ నుంచి 2 parts కూడా చూడండి. So same picture, I'm using the same picture for oropharynx. So first with black color, or I use greener, that I'm trying to locate the oropharynx. So with green dotted lines, I'm showing you oropharynx. Why it is called oropharynx? Because present behind the oral cavity. That's why this one is called oropharynx. Anteriorly, so I use the black arrows. Anteriorly communicate with the oral cavity through oropharyngeal isthmus. Previously, I explained in the flowchart. And posteriorly bounded by C2 and C3 vertebrae. Posteriorly bounded by C2, C3 vertebrae. That is posterior. And above A. Above communicates with the NP, anaga nasopharynx, through pharyngeal isthmus. Danni man pharyngeal isthmus anna. Below B communicates with the laryngopharynx. Below communicates with the laryngopharynx. Obviously, laterally formed by mucous membrane covering the palatine tonsil. And ఏ పార్ట్ చూసుకున్నా laterally formed by mainly mucous membrane. అది ఓరైనా నాసో అయినా laryngopharynx. So this is about the boundaries of the oropharynx. Simple. I'm explaining here once again. You see A, black color arrow A. That one is the oropharyngeal isthmus anteriorly. Next we see the P, black arrow P, is formed by and is related to C2 and C3 vertebrae and their IVD, intervertebral disc. Next to you see above another A, circle A చూడండి, లేదంటే otherwise I'll write above. So now you see the arrow above. Above communicates with the nasopharynx at the lower border of soft palate through pharyngeal isthmus. Next we come to the B, below, communicates with the laryngopharynx, at the upper border of epiglottis. Previously I told you these boundaries, upper border of epiglottis, laterally formed by mainly tonsillar fossa and covering mucous membrane. So these are the boundaries of the oropharynx. Now we write down the boundaries of oropharynx. So what is the anterior wall? Anterior game అవుతుంది, communicates with which cavity? Communicates with oral cavity through oropharyngeal isthmus. And posteriorly bounded by are related to which vertebra? Which vertebrae? C2, C3 and IVD, intervertebral disc, posteriorly. Of course, pharynx is separated from the vertebrae by the retropharyngeal space that we learned in the structure. And above, దేంతో communicate అవుతుంది? Above communicates with nasopharynx through what is that isthmus? Pharyngeal isthmus. ఇక్కడ రెండు చెప్పాను, ఒకటి oropharyngeal isthmus, here I am writing the pharyngeal isthmus at a level లో lower border of soft palate. You write like that, above. And below communicates with laryngopharynx at upper border of epiglottis. Below communicates with laryngopharynx at upper border of epiglottis. And laterally, okay, related to tonsillar fossa covered by mucous membrane. ఇది కొద్దిగా హైలైట్ చేయాలి. Laterally related to tonsillar fossa. Is it clear? చూసారమ్మా?
Yes sir.
అంతే, it is about the oropharynx, సింపుల్ గానే ఉంటుంది. సో అన్ని బౌండరీస్ చూసాం. ఇదే పిక్చర్ లో ఐఎమ్ ట్రైంగ్ టు షో యూ విత్ yellow color circle on the lateral wall of the oropharynx. That one is called tonsillar fossa. దాంట్లో మనకు ఒక ఎలివేటెడ్ గ్లాండ్ ఒకటి కనిపిస్తుంది, దాన్ని పాలటైన్ టాన్సిల్ అంటాం, పిటి. ఓకేనా? So if you see the features of the oropharynx, features of oropharynx లో మనం చూసేది మెయిన్ గా ఒకే ఒకటి, దాన్నే మనం tonsillar fossa అంటాం. So what is tonsillar fossa? What are the boundaries of tonsillar fossa? Contents of tonsillar fossa? Those things we are going to learn in the palatine tonsil class. I think Wednesday ఉంది ఆ క్లాస్, నాదే, నేను తీసుకుంటాను దాంట్లో డీటెయిల్ గా. Okay, it's about the is it clear? Short palate, palatine tonsil ఉంది దాంట్లో నేను తీసుకుంటాను. So same thing, once I try to show you here. So if you see this picture, I'm showing you one picture here. Can you see this picture? So in this picture, whatever you see green color glandular structure, that one is the palatine tonsil. Palatine tonsil. దాని యొక్క బౌండరీస్ చూడొచ్చు మనం. ఇదే పిక్చర్ లో we can see the boundaries. Okay, I use blue color. This one is the base, whatever I'm showing. This is the one arch. For example, this one is the posterior arch, and this one is the another arch, anterior arch, and this point is the apex. Now, tonsillar fossa is triangular fossa. Triangular shape lo untundi. If you see the boundaries of the tonsillar fossa, base is formed by dorsal 1/3 of the tongue, apex at the soft palate. Picture lo చూడ చాలా స్పష్టంగా కనిపిస్తుంది. Apex at the soft palate. So anterior arch is formed by palatoglossal arch. Posterior arch is formed by palatopharyngeal fold. In the tubal elevation nunchi, I told you two mucosal elevations. What is salpingo-palatine, salpingo-pharyngeal. ఇవి వేరు అన్నమాట. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మీకు అది క్లారిఫై చేస్తాను, ఒకసారి చూడండి. దిస్ ద ట్యూబల్ ఎలివేషన్, దిస్ ది soft palate, this one is the tongue, and whatever you see back, this entire part pharynx. Simple, no need to by hand. From the tubal elevation to soft palate, దీన్ని salpingo-palatine fold అన్నాం. From tubal elevation to pharynx, salpingo-pharyngeal fold అన్నాం. Similarly, from soft palate to tongue, this one is called palatoglossal fold అన్నాం. సేమ్ సాఫ్ట్ ప్యాలెట్ నుంచి pharynx కి వెళ్తుంది palatopharyngeal fold అన్నాం. సో ఇన్ ద ఇంటీరియర్ ఆఫ్ ది pharynx, in total we are going to see okay, two pairs of the mucosal folds, one pair at the nasopharynx, another pair at the oropharynx. Don't confuse. So whatever you see nasopharynx, those are named as salpingo-palatine, salpingo-pharyngeal. You see picture. Whatever you see at the oropharynx, those are named as palatoglossal, palatopharyngeal. What I am telling that, so here whatever you see the tongue, so this forms the base of the tonsillar fossa. Anteriorly palatoglossal fold, okay, posteriorly palatopharyngeal fold, apex is formed a soft palate. So these are the boundaries of palatine tonsil or tonsillar fossa. So tonsillar fossa is the feature of lateral wall of oropharynx that I am going to explain. Is it clear? అర్థమైందమ్మా? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Another 5 minutes. నేను 5 minutes లో క్లాస్ ఎండ్ చేస్తాను. లాస్ట్ వన్ చూడండి, జస్ట్ 5 minutes లో. And last one is what is the last part of the pharynx? What is the last part of the pharynx? Laryngopharynx. So same picture we use for study of the laryngopharynx. Same picture ne చూద్దాం. So in this picture, first I highlight the margins of the laryngopharynx. So from the upper border of epiglottis to lower border of cricoid cortex up to here, like that. This is the C6 vertebra anukunte up to here. So with the green dotted lines, I am showing you laryngopharynx. Now we see the boundaries like the other two parts. Anteriorly communicates with the larynx through laryngeal inlet. This is larynx. Posteriorly is bounded by mainly C5 and C6 vertebrae posteriorly. Okay, of course part of the C4, C3 also. Mainly C4 also. Mainly C5, C6 posteriorly. And above communicates with the oropharynx at the upper border of epiglottis. Below continues as esophagus at the lower border of C6 vertebra, and this junction is called pharyngo-esophageal junction. This one is called pharyngo-esophageal junction. This is the narrowest part of the pharynx. This is the oral question. So pharyngo-esophageal junction at the lower border of C6 vertebra. This is the narrowest part of the pharynx. Is it clear? That's enough. So laterally bounded by or covered by mucous membrane with one depression is there with black circle. I'm showing depression. That one is called pyriform fossa. That's enough. This is about the laryngopharynx. Now we write down boundaries of the laryngopharynx. Anteriorly communicates with which part? దేంతో కమ్యూనికేట్ అవుతుంది? లారింగోఫారింక్స్ యాంటీరియర్ గా దేనితో కమ్యూనికేట్ అవుతుంది? సో anteriorly communicates with the larynx through laryngeal inlet. Posteriorly related to C5 and C6 vertebrae plus IVD, intervertebral disc. Above communicates with oropharynx at upper border of epiglottis. Below communicates with esophagus at C6 vertebra. ఆ జంక్షన్ ఏమన్నా మనం pharyngo esophageal junction. That junction is called pharyngo esophageal junction. ఆ జంక్షన్ దగ్గర కంటిన్యూ అవుతుంది. ఇది ఇంపార్టెంట్. narrowest part of the pharynx అని చెప్పాను కదా, oral question. And along the lateral wall we can see one depression. That one is called pyriform fossa. This one is called pyriform fossa. So I try to show you pyriform fossa on another picture. Then after that I end the class. So in this picture we can see the communications of the pharynx. What they have done here, they cut and open the pharynx along the posterior wall. So whatever you see anterior communication, this circle coine, this one is called oropharyngeal isthmus. So we are seeing the pharynx from behind. In this picture we can see the communications of pharynx. And whatever you see this circle, this one is the laryngeal inlet. So three communications. With black arrow I'm showing you on either side of laryngeal inlet, whatever I'm showing the black color circles, this one is called pyriform fossa. What I'm telling that this is the pyriform fossa. If you see the boundaries of pyriform fossa, medially bounded by, okay, I show with the blue arrows, medially bounded by this blue color line, and laterally bounded by here one cartilage is there. These two. These are the boundaries of pyriform fossa. Medially, that line is called epiglottic fold. What is this? You learn in the larynx. Whatever you see laterally cartilage, that is the thyroid cartilage. So lamina of the thyroid cartilage. These two are the boundaries of pyriform fossa. Exact location on either side of laryngeal inlet. On either side of laryngeal inlet. So this is about the pyriform fossa. We can see along the lateral wall. So if you see boundaries of pyriform fossa, medially epiglottic fold, and laterally thyroid lamina, thyroid cartilage lamina. So these are, and it's covering mucous membrane. These are the boundaries of pyriform fossa. Is it clear? Have you seen? Okay, Naman. So these are the boundaries of the, and these are the features of the inlet of the larynx. Once again, I'm trying to show you, okay, all the features and ఒక 2 minutes లో క్విక్ గా రివైజ్ చేసి and then I end the class end చేస్తా. సో ఈ రోజు మనం నేర్చుకుంది ఏంటి? వాట్ వి ఆర్ లెర్న్ టుడే? ఏం చూసాం? ఏం నేర్చుకున్నాం? వాట్ ఐ టోల్డ్ యూ టుడే? వాట్ ఇస్ ద టుడే టాపిక్? అమ్మ ఉన్నారా? ఎవరైనా లేరు అసలు? వాట్ ఇస్ టుడే టాపిక్? ఫారింక్స్. ఫారింక్స్ అంటే ఇంటీరియర్ ఆఫ్ ది ఫారింక్స్. అది ఈ రోజు క్లాస్. బిగినింగ్ లో, ఇన్ ద బిగినింగ్ ఐ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ what is pharynx, extent of the pharynx, relations of the pharynx, that you learn it. Then after that we study the pharynx in two ways. One is interior, another one is structure. Structure is the separate class that you learn in the another class. In the interior we have seen the three parts of the pharynx: nasopharynx, oropharynx, laryngopharynx. Three parts you see. That's the clear. Then next, one by one I explain in detail. Aithe for each part I explain the boundaries: nasopharynx, oropharynx, laryngopharynx. అవన్నీ మీకు తెలుసు, ఇంక నేను ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయను. అయితే ఫండమెంటల్ గా మీకు తెలియాల్సింది ఏంటంటే రెండు సెంటెన్సెస్. ఏమిటంటే, త్రీ పార్ట్స్ anteriorly communicate with nasal cavity, oral cavity, larynx through coine, oropharyngeal isthmus, laryngeal inlet. ఆ పదాలు మూడు మీకు తెలియాలి. సో యాంటీరియర్లీ త్రీ కమ్యూనికేషన్ అట్ విచ్ లెవెల్, ఆ సెంటెన్సెస్ స్విచ్ చేయండి. సిమిలర్లీ దీస్ త్రీ పార్ట్స్ దే కంటిన్యూ టుగెదర్, ఒకదానికొకటి కంటిన్యూ అవుతుంది పైనుంచి కిందకి. అట్ విచ్ లెవెల్, ఆ లెవెల్ అనేది కూడా ఇంపార్టెంట్. సో nasopharynx continues with oropharynx at lower border of soft palate. అది క్లియర్ గా తెలియాలి. అలాగే oropharynx communicates with the laryngopharynx at the upper border of epiglottis. అది కూడా చూడండి. నేను ఇంకా అదర్ డీటెయిల్స్ లోకి వెళ్ళను. యు నో ద బౌండరీస్ ఆఫ్ ది త్రీ పార్ట్స్ ఐ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్. బట్ ద మోస్ట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ పాయింట్ ఐఎమ్ టెల్లింగ్ హియర్, ఇది ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఎగ్జామ్ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ వ్యూలో కానీ క్లినికల్ గా, ఏమిటంటే if you take the three parts of the nasopharynx, మన త్రీ పార్ట్స్ కనుక తీసుకుంటే we can see some features along the lateral wall of the three parts. nasopharynx lateral wall లో ఒక మెయిన్ ఫీచర్ చూసాం. అలాగే lateral wall of oropharynx లో ఒక మెయిన్ ఫీచర్ ఉంది. అలాగే lateral wall of the laryngopharynx లో కూడా ఒక మెయిన్ ఫీచర్ ఉంది. అవి ఏంటంటే, at the lateral wall of nasopharynx we can see the tubal opening, tubal elevation, tubal tonsil. ఈ మూడు ఇంపార్టెంట్. అలాగే lateral wall of oropharynx లో what we have seen? palatine tonsil అనగా tonsillar fossa. Similarly lateral wall of pyriforms మనం ఏం చూసాం? pyriform fossa. That means tubal opening, nasopharynx lateral wall, tonsillar fossa, oropharynx lateral wall, pyriform fossa, laryngopharynx lateral wall. సో ఇవి చాలా చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఎగ్జామ్ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ వ్యూలో వీటిని షార్ట్ నోట్స్ క్వశ్చన్ కింద అడుగుతారు. సో టోబల్ ఓపెనింగ్ ఇస్ ఫార్మ్డ్ బై pharyngeal end of auditory tube. దానివల్ల ఫామ్ అవుతుంది. దాని ఫంక్షన్ ఏంటి అనేది క్లాస్ లో ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాను ఈ సెక్షన్ లో. హియర్ నో టైం, దట్స్ వై ఐఎమ్ నాట్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయినింగ్ హియర్. సో ఈ మూడు కూడా మీరు బాగా హైలైట్ చేసుకోవాలి. దీంట్లో ఇంకొక పాయింట్ హైలైట్ చేయాల్సింది ఏంటంటే, at the roof of the nasopharynx we have seen the nasopharyngeal tonsil. Sometimes, usually in the children, it is infected and enlarged, and that condition is called adenoid. It is short notes question. Adenoid అనేది short notes question. So infection and enlargement of nasopharynx and nasopharyngeal tonsil at the roof, that one is called adenoid. ఇది చిల్డ్రన్స్ లో ఎక్కువగా ఉంటుంది. అదొకటి మీరు చూడాలి. అలాగే palatine process that I will explain in the separate class in detail. Bounds అన్ని ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాను. And one more thing, at the later wall of laryngopharynx we have seen the pyriform fossa. దీనికి రెండు పదాలు వాడతాను చూడండి. So it establishes and it allows the alternative channel for the passage of food through the pharynx. Pharynx లో ఫుడ్ అనేది bolus అనేది during deglutition process is passing through the pyriform fossae and the closed side of laryngeal inlet. So food channel ni passage చేస్తుంది number 1. And number 2, this one is named as smuggler's box. అది ఎందుకంటారు, you ask your teacher in the dissection table. అంటే టైం లేదు కాబట్టి ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయొచ్చు. సో రిగార్డింగ్ ద pyriform fossa, I told you 2 sentences. One is the food channel and the food passage, allows the food passage. And number 2, smuggler's box. Number 3, hides the foreign material. ఈ మూడు కూడా ఇంపార్టెన్స్ ఆఫ్ pyriform fossa. So this is about the interior of pharynx. మెయిన్ గా nasopharynx అనేది 5 మార్క్స్ క్వశ్చన్. ఓకే, nasopharynx